Hello, everyone. How's it going? Welcome to Youth Group Live. We're going to get started here in just a second. It's got to make sure that my StreamYard settings are all right. It's been a little while, okay, and I don't know if you guys will be able to hear this. This fantastic sound you're about to hear. Let's see, share audio. Perfect. Going to get started in 30 seconds from about now. Welcome, everybody, to the triumphant return of Youth Group Live. I know that we might not all be the happiest to have to be back, but honestly, I missed it a little bit. I'm glad to be here with you guys. I have some unfortunate news, though. I saw some of you in the chat before you got started. I know there was one thing you were really excited about, one thing you were waiting for, but unfortunately, this computer I'm on right now does not have Party Llama downloaded. There's no Party Llama on this computer. It won't be able to make a return. I could do a cover if we all wanted at the end, but I don't think anyone wants that. Anyways, on better news, today is a holiday. Maybe not the most popular holiday, maybe not one of the most beloved or important holidays, but it's still a holiday. It's actually St. Patrick's Day today. So I'm curious, in the comments, have any of you done anything for St. Patrick's Day today? I really haven't. I don't know what I would do, but I'm curious. Has anyone done anything for St. Patrick's Day today? Let me know in the chat. Why are my earbuds harassment status? Whoops, didn't see that. What are you talking about? They're fine. They're totally great. Worst chicken could make a comeback at the end, if you remind me. Seeing nope. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know how to celebrate. Yeah, I wore green, so I definitely was not wearing green. I'll be honest. Until a little bit before we got started, I have my saltine lit shirt actually on underneath, and then I realized I should probably wear green so you wouldn't all make fun of me in the chats. Awesome. Well, anyways, if you haven't celebrated St. Patrick's Day yet, I have fantastic news for you. We're about to celebrate here in just a second. I have a video about the history of St. Patrick. About the history of St. Patrick's Day, who he was, why he matters. He's actually a really kind of a big deal in church history, which those of you who know me know that's kind of my hobby horse. So I'm like the biggest St. Patrick stan you'll find. So I'm going to play a little video going over who he was. Let me see. Share screen. And let me know if you can hear the sound. I'm hearing, is there no sound for St. Patrick's Day? I'm hearing no sound. Okay. Let me do it again. I just have to click share audio every time. We'll try that again. This time it should work. Let me know if it doesn't.
St. Patrick was born not in Ireland, but in Britain around AD 35. Well, actually, he wasn't called St. Patrick at the time, or even Patrick, but was referred to as Maewyn Succat. Good thing he changed his name later. St. Maewyn's Day just doesn't have the same ring. We'll stick with Patrick, just in case I'm slaughtering that pronunciation. Patrick was quite far from being a saint growing up. Until he was 16, he considered himself a pagan, or maybe even an atheist by today's definition. It was at that age when he was taken into slavery by a group of Irish marauders that attacked his village. Patrick was sold to his master, a Druid chief in Ireland, and served him for 6 years. It was during his captivity that he became a Christian. One day he heard what he described as a voice compelling him in his sleep to leave his master and find a ship that awaited him. He fled to the coast of Ireland and eventually made it back to his home. He then decided to study in the monastery and stayed there for 12 years, during which he decided that his calling was to convert the pagans to Christianity. Eventually, he adopted his Christian name, Patricius, or Patrick as we now know it, and returned to Ireland after being appointed a bishop. Patrick was very successful at winning converts, which upsetted the Celtic Druids, who had him arrested several times, but he managed to escape each arrest. Patrick traveled through Ireland, establishing monasteries, schools, and churches throughout the land. Eventually, Patrick returned to where he had once been a slave, to pay his ransom to his former master. Despite being treated cruelly, Patrick didn't hold a grudge against him. As Patrick approached his master's old homestead, to his horror he saw that it was in flames. Patrick found out that the stories people told about him had preceded him, and in a fit of frenzy, his old master gathered all of his treasures into his mansion, set them on fire, and then threw himself into the flames. An ancient record adds that his pride could not endure the thought of being vanquished by his former slave. There are a lot of legends surrounding St. Patrick. Some say that he raised people from the dead. Others say that he drove snakes out of Ireland, but since there aren't any fossil records of snakes in Ireland at that time, it's highly unlikely, unless he drove out the fossils as well. Many think that snakes was a metaphor for the conversion of the pagans, meaning that he drove paganism out from Ireland. Green wasn't the original color associated with St. Patrick, it was first blue. It eventually changed for various reasons, probably because of being used in various Irish flags and how green is associated with Ireland itself. Patrick worked in Ireland for 30 years. Afterwards, he retired and then died on March 17th, in AD 461. There wasn't a canonization process when Patrick died. That didn't come up until the 12th century. He would have been declared a saint by acclamation, and his sainthood approved by a local bishop soon after he died. St. Patrick's Day was originally a Catholic holiday, and still is, but has also evolved into a secular holiday, being celebrated by non-Irish, non-Catholics, and ironically enough, even atheists. Today, when people think of St. Patrick, they imagine a leprechaun in a green jacket, hat, pipe, clover, and a pot of gold. Not a man who devoted 30 years of his life to teaching and helping the Irish. Hopefully you now know a little more about the history of St. Patrick.
Awesome. So we heard a little bit about the history of St. Patrick. I don't know how much you guys caught, but basically St. Patrick wasn't really a Christian until he was put in captivity by a bunch of like pagan dudes. And when he left captivity, he found Christ and decided to go back and convert those people. And for those of you who have been at youth group the past couple weeks, we've been talking about loving people, right? First week we did love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Last week we did love your neighbor as yourself. But this week we're going to talk about something St. Patrick did really well, and that's loving your enemies. So our theme this week is going to be loving your enemies. That's what I'm going to be talking about in a little bit. But before I get into that, right, we need to talk a little bit about more about what does it mean to be an enemy, right? And when I think of enemies, I think of supervillains. So we're going to be doing a supervillain trivia Kahoot featuring some of your favorite volunteers. We got Zach and Maddie, and we got your mom, aka Angela. Who was on as well. That's her name. Welcome, guys. Glad to have you guys on. Yeah, how are you guys doing today? I'm seeing green all around the board, by the way.
Amazing.
Glad that we all got the memo.
Jonah, your sweater's not really green.
It totally is in person. It is in person. I don't have the best lighting. Guaranteed, it's green. Is that clear?
Turquoise.
Let me know in the chat.
It looks black to me.
Turquoise.
Are you kidding?
I'm
Okay.
calling it black.
See, no, here's the thing.
Somebody's
Okay,
go
the
pinch
youth
that
group
kid.
live chat will be on my side. Guys, put in the chat whether or not you think my sweater is green. Don't put if you think it's black. Don't say anything about that. But if you think it's green, let them know, okay? Awesome. So guys, we're gonna be doing some supervillain trivia, and I'm curious. Okay, how well do you guys think you're gonna do going into this? On a scale of like 1 to 10, how do you feel about your superhero / supervillain knowledge?
10.
Wow, that was confident.
If we're
Quick.
talking within the Marvel universe, I would say 10.
I gotcha. It's
I
dark
need to
green.
go get a child to help me.
Yeah, that's fair. Find a recruit, phone a friend.
Yeah. I might
Makes
have to
sense.
yell outside to someone to come help.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, I think I made the quiz, so I'll do okay. But this one's gonna be kind of tricky. I know a lot of you guys green but black. Okay, I'm getting some mixed answers too in the chat. So Sarah and Grace think it's black, but like a lot of people I'd say are giving me the benefit of the doubt there. Yeah, there's a black strip, so it's green and black. You can see 2 different colors. So technically we're all right, but I am wearing green. Okay, I literally put this on just so I would have some green on. So we're gonna be doing a Kahoot. If you would like to join, I'm gonna pull the code up here in just a little bit.
I'm going to play.
Yeah, just give me a second. Let me see. Perfect. We haven't done a Kahoot as a team. in a while. It's been a bit since we've done one. Yeah, but I'm excited for this one. Let's see, I'm gonna pull it up here in just a second. It's just loading right now. Got to share the audio too for this one. Literally the best part about Kahoot is the music, in my humble opinion.
The sound effects.
Oh, it's great. It's fantastic. Okay, can everybody see that there? Got the code as 5584359. If you'd like to join, feel free to do so. And maybe put down a name that we recognize. I want to see if I can guess some of your guys' names. For those who come on Sundays, we have kind of established nicknames it seems like we get every week.
Oh, phone a friend, Angela. I see a friend.
Oh, there we go.
I brought Matthew in to help me.
I trust Matthew. Matthew will ace it. I think I'll join, but I'll try to answer wrong. I'll try to be wrong.
Are you kidding? I'm in it to win it.
I mean, I'd be cheating, you know? I
You're
made
gonna
this like a
try
couple hours
to
ago.
Did you make it?
wrong.
Yeah, I made the quiz a couple hours ago.
Oh.
So I'll try to be like the pacer in a race. You know what I mean? Like I'll try to stay like, I don't know, middle of the pack, so that you guys have something to compete against. Like I'll only win if you guys do bad. That's my take. Oh yeah, we got people joining. Actually, I might not. I'll just run it.
Oh, hold on, not yet. Look, I'm going.
Oh yeah, all good. We'll give you some more time. We got Nate Larson.
Are
Wonder
you-
if Nate Larson is related to NATO Tomato at all. Wonder if they know each other. I don't know who Power Egret is. So names I know: Scotty, the well-known one. Azuri's another well-known one. Ducky, I think I know who that is. Sherm is there. 6-footer. That's impressive. I couldn't be called that. I feel like I know who Slightly is. Sarah with no H. I know a Sarah, but I think she's supposed with an H in our youth group. So pretty sure it's Sarah.
Oh,
So, yeah, I don't know who this Sarah with a no H is. Sarah's spelled with an H. So, just kidding. Party Llama. Don't know who that is, but I respect the name. Mad respect for that name. So I think almost everyone should be on. If you're not on, try to join in the next like 5 seconds. Keep in mind that there's a 5-second delay, so if you're hearing this message, you're probably already too late. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me see. We should be able to get started here. Perfect. So who's that nemesis? Who is that nemesis? These are all superhero questions from various companies. Who is Killer Croc's nemesis? Which of these superheroes fights Killer Croc?
I've never even heard of Killer Croc.
See, I don't know if this is like the hardest one,
Hard?
but some of them are pretty hard. This one is probably average to above average for how hard they are. I also know that a lot of you guys like superheroes, so I catered it. Really, a lot of people love it. There we go. Yeah, I did this knowing that a lot of you guys are superhero people, right? Some of them though might be harder. Nice. There we go.
Your mom.
Your mom plus Matt.
I'm a winner.
All right. Who is Sandman's nemesis? This one I think more people will know. I have a feeling more people will get this one. But we'll see. Pick the wrong man. That's right. There is a lot of man and woman for their names.
I have to think of all the different movies that I've seen.
True. True. I don't know. So
This movie was a while ago, if I'm remembering right.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people got that. I will say. So I was thinking about it as I was making this quiz, and I think one of the reasons it might be harder for some of you guys is because the like superheroes and movies that were popular when I was a kid was not the Avengers. Like nobody knew who Thor was like 10 years ago, right? I mean, we knew, but like he wasn't a big deal though. Right now, Thor's like a mainstream one. Before you'd say it's like Batman or Superman. I feel like the landscape has changed.
Okay. Thor was the first superhero movie I saw in theater.
Really?
Yeah, it was
It's a good one.
It was for my birthday.
But like before the movie, I don't know. When I was like younger, I don't remember Thor existing at all.
We watched a lot of X-Men.
True. But this is not a Marvel villain. Is it Thanos, Loki, the Mad Hatter, or Juggernaut? I feel like one of these answers you can probably count out. Maybe two. Probably two. I'm curious. I think I feel like it's kind of in between two for what people will guess. We'll see though. Simon Peters in the chat. He is? No way.
It's for Sarah's favorite genre.
Yep. What's up, James? It's been a while. Okay, yeah, a lot of you guys got that one. Juggernaut is actually from X-Men. Fun fact. Nobody said Thanos, which is good. One person said Loki. I'm not gonna
One
roast
person
you too much about
Loki?
that. One person put Loki.
Oh, I'm still such a winner right now.
You're
Yeah,
crushing it.
you did all the work.
I feel like Matthew's carrying the team from that comment there. All good. All right. I don't know if they get harder or easier. I feel like they're all roughly the same level. Which of these supervillains fights Superman? Is it Gorilla Grodd, Mr. Freeze, Black Adam, or Kingpin?
I don't know.
One of these primarily. I think a couple of these have had like maybe comic strips or an episode of a TV show where they fought him. But one of these is like primarily a Superman villain. This one I think is kind of harder. I think the DC ones, my theory is that people would do worse on the DC
Their
ones.
movies are so much worse.
It's true. Yeah, exactly, right? I think that I would do worse on the Marvel ones than most of you guys, but I think the DC ones would be trickier. Gorilla Grodd. It is. Black Adam is also DC, though. So is Mr. Freeze. Kingpin is Spider-Man. Black Adam is, I think he's a Wonder Woman villain. Or Green
There's
Lantern.
my lead.
Yeah, Gorilla Grodd, though. Black Adam, I think, also has like had interactions with Superman.
Oh,
Mad Dog's crushing it. Oh, man. All right.
good job, Mad Dog.
Moving on to the next one. Reason Flash. Maybe that's, yeah. Who fights Doctor Doom? I don't know. I'm interested to see if people get this one. Is it the Avengers, the X-Men, the Justice League, or the Fantastic Four? There's also a lot of groups of superheroes. I was thinking about all the ones that I made this one. I
And
was
they're like groups within groups.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, do you guys know this one?
I don't know this one.
Zach's got it. That was a very confident,
You
like,
do?
okay, sorry.
Why didn't you tell me?
There we go. The Fantastic Four.
I guessed it right.
Fantastic job.
Great.
I
The
haven't
first-
seen those movies in forever.
Yeah, I know. Man, they're a bit off the beaten path at this point. Technically,
Yeah.
all the Marvel. It's true. They are Marvel. Oh, all those ones I mentioned are Marvel except for the Justice League. Literally everyone fights Doom. That's true. But primarily them. Nate, first superhero movies. I wonder which like iteration of them. Because I haven't seen a good Fantastic Four movie in a long time. I heard that the last one was terrible. But maybe you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, moving on. Ooh, who was the Green Lantern's rival?
Again, I just don't know.
Yeah, this one I would be surprised if a lot of people knew this one. Maybe you can like process
I can
elimination
eliminate
it.
a couple.
Yeah, so that might be helpful. I tried. Yeah. Also, fun fact: the Green Lantern is not a single superhero, but a lot of superheroes, like the Green Lanterns.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that
Superhero
like a
Squad.
Capcom thing? I haven't seen that movie.
A lot of you guys got that. I'm impressed. Yeah, Sinestro, who's like the yellow Green Lantern dude. Nice. Well done. A couple people said Magneto, which is fair. I'm surprised not more people got tricked up by Cheetah. Yeah, Magneto's the X-Men guy. That might be a spoiler for later. That might help you out. Maybe take that hint if you need it. All right, true or false? Hammerhead is a Batman villain. I would have got this one wrong. I totally put down whether or not this is true or false and changed it because I was wrong. I don't know. Do you guys? How confident are you guys in your answer on this one?
I'm not confident.
Oh,
What is
never
it?
mind. I messed
This one is super hard. If anyone gets this, I guess 50-50, right?
It's 50-50.
But at the same time, if you like confidently know this one, you know more about superheroes than I do, for sure. False. Does anyone in the chat know where who like Hammer Hillen's nemesis is?
Don't.
Want to see?
DC, man.
All right, I want to see who's because that might be where people got it from. You know this? This is where Lego knowledge comes in handy.
Oh,
I want to see
Lego.
Spider-Man. Yep, they got it. He's actually a Spider-Man villain. I totally thought he was a Batman villain. He seems so much like a Batman villain to me. Is that like what?
Is he in a movie?
Not like a recent one. I don't think he's in like a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, but he's in some of the old cartoons. Yeah, works for Kingpin.
Yeah, I'm dating myself by saying I haven't seen all of the Tom Holland ones.
True. I haven't seen many of them either. Anyways, that was a tricky one. Again, I totally would have got that one wrong. I was confident he was Batman. I feel like Batman and Spider-Man villains have a weird overlap.
Yeah.
They also have the most villains. Like I feel like 90% of the villains I remember them. All right, which is the main enemy of the Teen Titans? Now I think only one of these is ever fought by the Teen Titans. But one of them is like their main villain. Is it Poison Ivy, Slade, the Joker? We got a new sub. There we go. Thank you, the Bullfrog Gamer. Or is it Nightwing? Which is like their main villain. This is also Very underrated TV show. This was like 12-year-old Jonah's jam. I love Teen Titans. Absolutely fantastic.
I
It's like
did
a
not
lot of you guys got that. Apparently they made a new Teen Titans too, and everyone hates it. That's all I know about it.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen it. It's like very, I don't know. It's like a comedy first, and then a superhero movie second, which is kind of strange. 6 Footer's doing real well. Maddie's still crushing it though. But I mean, you do have like a little bit of a delay before they can see it. So whoever is 6 Footer is a little bit. So they get a little bit less points even if they answer perfect. But 6 Footer.
So your victory is just going to be empty.
Yeah. All right, which of these is an X-Man villain? I think X-Man is like so underrated. This was like my favorite Marvel franchise probably ever.
They're so good.
Yeah. Is it Mystique, Megatron, Electro, or Giovanni? One of these is a villain from. I mean, I think only one of these is.
Is it a trick question?
It might be. This one might be a trick question. Yeah.
Oh.
Electro's the Spider-Man guy. Megatron is from Transformers. Giovanni, I think is something else. I think he's the Pokemon guy or something. Like
I thought Mystique had a different name when she went over to.
She might have. They might have changed her name around a bit. X-Men, like DC, I feel like X-Men just hasn't had a good movie. I am Megatron later with the Decepticons. Yeah, dude. Can't believe that's who Nato Tomato's been this whole time. I've been curious. True or false? Iceman is a villain. I don't know if anyone cares about Iceman. I only know him because when I was growing up, he was a big part of like one of the 3 like superhero movies on Disney Channel or something like that. I don't know how I know about Iceman.
I know about Iceman because he was in Top Gun.
I've never heard of Iceman.
And he was a villain!
He was not a villain. Yeah.
No, in Top Gun he was.
It was? Oh, okay. Different Iceman. And also, apparently, I think there's just a lot of Giovannis. There's some disagreement with who Giovanni is. I feel like a lot of people are just named Giovanni. I know a Giovanni, and I don't think he's the rival of the X-Men, but I could be wrong. I don't know him that well.
Someone took her out.
True. And just so you know, if you're losing now, the last question will be worth double. It's also over the most important superhero. So get ready for that.
Is this a lot? Oh, no.
No, I have a couple more. Who's Brainiac's nemesis?
I don't know. Brainiac?
Brainiac. Is it the Flash, Captain Marvel, Superman, or the Martian? This one's a little bit harder too. This is one I feel like because all these answers are realistic. Some of them are like more obscure, but I put in worse tricking answers. I feel like all these could be it. Superman. A lot of people got that one. I think a lot of people were in the DC train though. I guess there's also a DC Captain Marvel.
There is?
I think so. Isn't there?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Someone let me know. Am I wrong? Is there also a character named Captain Marvel owned by DC? Which is kind of ironic.
Marvel.
I did mean Martian Manhunter. That was what I was thinking. I just couldn't remember his name. And there is. Okay, Simon Peters said it. I got some apostolic authority behind that. So also shout out to Simon Peters. It's been forever, man. Glad to see you here. There is. Yeah. So I mean, maybe there's a chance that all of these have fought Brainiac, but I think Superman's kind of like the main one. I think 6 Footer.
Oh, listen, I'm so
Scotty's on a 7 correct answer streak. That is impressive.
Wow.
I mean, how many questions has it been? It's been like 10 questions or like 12, I guess. So that's a good streak to be on. Which group fights Ronin? Some of you guys will know this one, I think. Which is like the primary group? Is it the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the X-Men, or the Teen Titans? Which group fights Ronin? There's only one answer here that'll make me mad at you. Quick spoiler alert. There's one answer that's just objectively wrong. Any other answer would be fine. It's Shazam. It might be Shazam too. Oh, okay. Shazam is Captain Marvel. You're right. I forgot about that.
Good to know.
Which group fights Ronin? Guardians of the Galaxy. That is another one. Like before the recent movies came out, I don't think anyone cared about Guardians of the Galaxy. But now they're like pretty mainstream.
They're pretty funny.
Yeah, they were solid movies. I think they're maybe the best new Marvel movies in my opinion. Teen Titan for memes. Well, the wrong answer. 2 people did guess Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm disappointed. That was my.
I was allowed to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I think I did for a while when I was younger. Anyways, guys, we're at the last question. Okay, going over a pretty central superhero. This question is worth double points. Even if you're losing, by 2,000 points, in theory, you could win.
If everyone else gets it wrong.
Exactly. So lots on the line here. Okay, most important one. Off a pretty. I'm curious. I think that double points here. Which of these heroes fights Megamind? Okay, from the hit movie TV show Megamind. Is it the Silver Smile, Captain Super, Metro Man, or Hero Man? What is his name? I did not know this and had to look it up. So if any of you get it right, shout out to you. Oh, Zachariah's Bullfrog. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, James, Zachariah, it's good to see you guys. Hope you guys are doing well in Idaho. Hero Man. Is he in the movie? I can't remember. There's a wrong name he goes by too that he gets called a lot. But I don't remember that. There we go. Metro Man. A lot of you guys got that one. A lot of you got that one. But let's see whether or not it actually mattered. I want to throw a Megamind one in there. Who's that nemesis? Here's the podium. In third place, we have Albie Zach. Congratulations.
I'm not even on the podium.
Got Scotty in second place. That's impressive. And then 6-footer, I'm guessing. 6-footer. Well done. Well done, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. We got the Grinch and Mad Dog as 4 and 5. Wow. The Grinch also made a comeback from nowhere. I didn't see the Grinch anywhere. It's the redhead guy. That's true. I said the hero that fights him, but you're right. There's also the redhead guy, that reporter dude, whose name I don't remember. But fantastic movie. Congratulations, Ben. Also, are you 6 feet? I don't know. You might be. You're probably in the ballpark there. Thank you so much to our guest for coming out. Appreciated having you guys on. Thank you for sharing your superhero knowledge and talents with the group. I appreciate you guys. Awesome. His name is Titan. You're right. That is the redhead guy's name. Thank you for the reminder, NATO Tomato.
That is also the planet of Thanos.
True. Awesome. And by the way, if you don't know if you're a junior hire, maybe you haven't met Zach and Maddie. They're helping out with high school. They're awesome. So just wanted to get a chance for you guys to be able to see who they were. Simon Peter, you missed a lot. Hal Stewart. I think that's his original name. Wow, you guys, we have some Megamind fans here. I'm all for that.
I'm too old for Megamind. I haven't even seen it.
I think I only saw it because I have younger siblings. I think that's why I saw it. Yeah.
And then all the kids I babysit are too young for Megamind, I think.
True. It's that weird age group. It's like, like us. That's kind of me with Minecraft. Don't roast me in the chat. But I feel like Minecraft I just missed, and I'm too old to have I don't know. It's kind of over my head. I played a little bit just so I could talk to you guys about it, but I don't get Minecraft. It was not part of my life until I was like, I should probably learn how to talk about this. Thank you guys so much for coming on, though. Appreciate having you. Booyah. Awesome. So we've talked a little bit about St. Patrick and how he went out of his way to love his enemies. And we talked a bit about superheroes and kind of, super villains and their enemies. It's okay. I was never allowed to play it. Minecraft is an interesting game to not play. It's interesting. I don't think it's too bad, but yeah. It's all about the Halo life anyway, Jonah. Exactly. That's it. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's kind of my generation. Sweet. So before we get into this talk as well, I just want to give a couple of quick announcements. We won't be having Youth Group next week, not because of safety concerns, but simply because of spring break. We wouldn't have had it anyways, regardless of anything else that happened, which means that we'll be back in full force. Not next week, but the week after. So that'll be, I think, the 20 or 31st. Maybe it's the 1st. Let me double check. Yeah, the 31st will be our next week back. And then the retreats are coming up soon. So April 15th and 16th is going to be our retreat or 17th and 18th, rather. Sorry. April 17th and 18th will be our retreat for the high schoolers. So it's coming up reasonably soon. Hopefully, fingers crossed this time, right? And for junior high, you guys will have your retreat May 15th and 16th. So that'll be coming soon. It happens to be Maddie's birthday as well. Just fantastic. Feeling the love, people. Fortnite. I played one game of Fortnite and I immediately died and quit. And I'm probably never gonna go back. Oof. Yeah. Anyway, so retreats are coming up soon. I'm going to be sending out more info. I've been sending out a lot of info about COVID stuff recently, so I didn't want to crowd the emails with other advertisements as well. I wanted to make sure the COVID communication was clear. But you'll be getting more emails with information about that coming up soon. They're coming up kind of in the ballpark out there. Sweet. With that being said, guys, we're going to get into kind of our talk for the day. We're going to be going over this idea of loving your enemies, kind of like we talked about with St. Patrick's story and with the games. We're going to talk about really one of the most central teachings in the life of Jesus, one of the most central things that he does in his earthly life. And also one of the hardest things we're called to as Christians, I think, is to love our enemies. Apex is better or equal to Warzone? Interesting theory. I have not played either, so I can't talk. I'm not a good authority there. Sweet. Booyah. Can everybody see me all right? Let me see if everyone can see me all right. Put it in the chat if you can see me here. Or at least if you can see the screen. If you can't see me, I guess it's fine. Am I coming through? Test 1 2 1 2. Okay, sweet. Booyah. The people can see me. We're good. I'm not just talking to nobody there. Awesome. So we're going to be talking today about loving your enemies, which again I think is one of the hardest things we are called to do as believers. But it's really central, both to the life of Jesus, as well as to Jesus's mission. It's something he talks about somewhat frequently, and because of that, even if it's hard to do, it's worth discussing, right? And I think right now in the world, it's a pretty hard time to love your enemies. We're living in a pretty divisive season. And to talk about that is important. First, I want to talk about love in the law. Sometimes when we think about loving our enemies, or when we think about loving our neighbors or loving God, we tend to think of these as like New Testament things. The way that we maybe mentally picture it is that the Old Testament is about like legalism, and the New Testament is finally about love. Maybe we believe in the Old Testament, God was just about rules and following and obedience, and maybe we think of God as powerful in the Old Testament, but in the reality, written within the law are plenty of examples of love. One of my favorites is in the atonement sacrifice. We actually see a picture that you're supposed to grab two goats. One of them you set free and you give grace to, and the other one is to sacrifice for sins. And there's these cool pictures of Jesus written into the law. And we saw a couple weeks ago about when Rebecca talked about how loving Lord your God and loving your neighbor as yourself sums up all the laws and the prophets. Love is central to the law. And we see that in Leviticus. Leviticus 19, 17, and 18 says, "Do not hate a fellow Israelite in your heart. Rebuke your neighbor frankly, so you will not share in their guilt. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord." So written in the law, we have this important command to love our neighbor as ourselves. And if we read here, a lot of the people that have told us to love are maybe more agreeable to Israel in the day. Don't hate a fellow Israelite. It doesn't say anything about the Hittites, doesn't say anything about the Canaanites, but don't hate a fellow Israelite in your heart. Rebuke your neighbor frankly, so you will not share in their guilt. So keep each other accountable, but also don't hate each other. But it also says, do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people. So again, talking about Israel, don't hate anyone else that's from Israel, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. We see that this is a pretty central commandment. When Jesus, asks the expert in the law what the most important commandments are, he responds by saying this is one of them. Loving your neighbor as yourself is central to the law. It's a really important part of the Old Testament. And sometimes loving your neighbor can be easy, as you can see from this terribly JPEG'd picture here. Loving your neighbor can sometimes be an easy thing. See, for Israel, their neighbors were fellow Israelites. That's how they saw it. They saw their neighbors as being the people who were like them, who were around them, the people who agreed with them, who had the same goals as them. And while love is always requires sacrifice, love can be a difficult thing. Some people are just easier to love than others. I have friends that I met and we hit it off right away, and without much effort, I kind of started to love them, and I wanted to be around them and to do things for them. Maybe for the nation of Israel, other people from Israel were easier to love. It didn't take much effort for them to love their neighbors when their neighbors were from Israel. And I got a question for you guys as well in the chat. Who do you guys find easiest to love? Who are people that you just right away clicked with and have really found it easy to love? Who of you guys found it easier to love? I put people head over heels with love. There we go, Simon Peter. Yeah, who are the people you find it easiest to love? Maybe it's family members, maybe it's friends, maybe it's people with like a certain personality trait. Who do you guys find easy? I'm curious. Reading the chat. People that are loving back. Yeah, I agree. When people like you, it's a lot easier to like them. Family and friends. Agreed. Your friends. Mm-hmm. I tend to love people I don't have to be around that much. I've realized that about myself. Is if it's somebody I'm just randomly passing on the street, it's a lot easier for me to be nice to them. When it's like, my brothers when I was your age, or somebody I have to be around all the time, I find it a lot harder to love them when I have to be around them. People who don't bother me or annoy me, Levi says. Zach says people. Yeah, people that don't offend us, people that we can just kind of people you trust. Seeing some really solid answers there, guys. Yeah, some people are just easier for us to love. Maybe it's people we trust, people we agree with, pets, as Grace says, her dog. Some people are easy for us to love. It doesn't require much effort. But the reality is not everyone is so easy to love. Some people maybe disagree with us. Some people maybe we have to be around a lot, or they just kind of rub us the wrong way. Some people might have habits that really annoy us, or maybe their lives are going in a different direction than ours. Some people might see the world in a very different way than we do. And the reality is some people just might not want to be around us. Maybe they don't like us. And so it's harder for us to love them. Some people aren't our neighbors, but they're our enemies. Those people aren't nearly as easy for us to love. Scripture talks about this. John 15, 18 through 20 says, if the world hates you, understand that it hated me first. If you were of the world, it would love you as its own. Instead, the world hates you because you are not of this world, but I have chosen you out of the world. Remember the word that I spoke to you. No servant is greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you as well. If they kept my word, they will keep yours as well. Jesus tells his disciples here that the world isn't going to like them. And for me, it's kind of a hard thing to grasp. Growing up, my parents wanted me to love Jesus. A lot of my friends were Christians. And so I figured if I do the right things, if I love people how Jesus loved them, if I go through my life obeying God's commandments and living out his path in my life, then I assumed people would like me. But that's not always the case. That's not something that we're promised. In fact, we're kind of promised the opposite. The world hated Jesus, and because it hated him, many people won't like us for standing up for our faith. I saw a tweet the other day that was talking about how unconditional love is a terrible idea. And I couldn't stop but think, like, this person has a totally different view of the world than I do. Unconditional love is a weird thing. It's a hard thing. But my worldview tells me it's important. It's central to living out my life as a Christian. And people hate people who preach unconditional love nowadays. It's hard to be a believer in this world. And so what are we promised as Christians? I think we're promised a lot of things, right? That amidst a world that hates us, that despises us, amidst hard times as believers, we can always have hope in the fact that we're going to spend an eternity with God when all is said and done. We're promised a chance at a new life to become new creations in Christ. We're promised the opportunity to enjoy eternal life with Jesus forever when all is said and done. In following Jesus, there is a lot of promises for us in this life, but not all of them are as, I guess, happy as we'd want them to be. We're almost promised persecution as well. We're promised that we're going to make enemies in this life, and that as we pursue Christ, some friendships might fall away, and some people might not like us when we follow Jesus. I realized as I looked through some of the heroes in my life that a lot of them were willing to stand up for what they believed in. And in fact, a lot of them died for what they believed in. Here I've got the Apostle Paul. No offense, Peter. I know that you're in the chat, but my favorite apostle is Paul. I'm sorry. We have the Apostle Paul, somebody who risked his life for the sake of the gospel, who is constantly at odds, even with the church. I've been reading through Galatians in a Greek class I'm in, and Paul is constantly attacked for standing up for the Gentiles. I've got Martin Luther King Jr., somebody else who had really strong and powerful and important beliefs about the importance of Jesus to love all people and for all people to be treated equally. And he was also killed for his belief. We also have Deutsche Bonhoefer there. I'm seeing some Bonhoefer fans in the chat as well. I love Bonhoefer. He wanted to stand up against the Nazis in Germany, and he actually was part of a plot to kill Hitler. He was a pastor who felt convicted that what was happening in Germany was wrong, and he wanted to stand up against that, and he was killed for that. And then finally, the most prominent example, my biggest hero, was killed in maybe the most powerful way. It's Jesus was killed. Yes, to die for our sins. But I think if you ask the people who were killing him, something about his message just didn't sit right with them. I think that's what they would have said, is that they didn't agree with what he was saying about his claim to be God, about his way of living life. Didn't sit well with the people of his day. And so he's willing to die for our sins. And as much as I want to sit back and be neutral, as much as I want to be able to live a life where I have no enemies, when I look through church history and I look at, again, so many of the prominent figures I see that that's not really an option. To stand for your faith, to be a believer in this world is going to come with some controversy. We're going to make some enemies. So how do we respond? If we aren't going to go through this life without any enemies, if things aren't always going to be easy, if people aren't going to like us, what do we do about that? Do we react by... I've seen a lot of examples of how people respond. Some people want to push back. Some people maybe see that the world is their enemies, and so they decide to make themselves enemies of the world. Some people respond, with violence. Both throughout church history, we've seen this, and even today, some people get really violent or militant against the world because they see them as their enemies. Other people, like me for a lot of my life, I'll kind of hide away from the world. Maybe I'll go to a church or only be around people who agree with me. Maybe I'll turn my back on people who are negative to the faith, on people who don't love Jesus or don't appreciate his message. I'll just hide kind of in my safe space, away from those who don't love Jesus or who disagree with me. Maybe for others of us, we respond by just kind of becoming like the world. Maybe that's our response, is instead of making the world our enemies, we make ourselves like the world. I think that's a common response as well. And while all of these are common ways to respond, I'd argue none of those are the right way to respond. And I'd argue that because Jesus gives us a better way. I think a harder way, but a better way. In Luke 6, Jesus is giving the Sermon on the Plain, it's called. There's a lot of overlap between the Sermon on the Mount, but this is one of Jesus's biggest, most prominent talks, where he lays out what his gospel and what his mission is about. And he says this: "But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. If someone slaps you on one cheek, turn to them the other also. If someone takes your coat, do not withhold your shirt from them. Give to everyone who asks you. And if anyone takes what belongs to you, do not demand it back. Do to others as you would have them do to you." This is radical. This is nothing short of just incredible. I can't think of anything that is more beautifully worded or anything that goes against my own intuition more than this. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. When people don't like you, our response to them should be to treat them with kindness, to do good. When somebody curses me, the last thing I want to do is bless them. That's what I'm called to do. When someone mistreats me, maybe it's somebody who disagrees with me or somebody who's unkind to me, the last thing I want to do is pray for them. If somebody slaps me, I'm either slapping back or running away. I'm not turning the other cheek. If someone takes my coat, the last thing I would want to do is to give them more. Or if somebody takes from me, I want what they took back. But Jesus calls us to something different. And I don't know if I respond very well to the world in the way that Christ calls me to. I find it really hard to love my enemies. When people have mistreated me or made fun of me or treated me poorly or disagreed with me on important things, this has not been my response, but it should be. For me, one of the biggest examples of this in pop culture is from the movie Les Mis. If you haven't seen it yet, I'd recommend maybe waiting till you're a little bit older to watch it. It's a really good movie with a lot of very strong Christian principles, and it's changed the way I've seen my faith in some ways. But at the same time, it has some kind of dark themes as well. So something that's maybe worth watching. Watching later in life. But the movie has this really cool scene right in the beginning. It follows the story of a man named Jean Valjean. And Jean Valjean is a thief. He's locked away in prison for a couple years, and he escapes. He breaks out, and as he's running from the law, he hides in a local monastery. The priest in that monastery offers him a chance to stay, offers him shelter, gives him some food for the road. But as Valjean is staying there, he's still a thief in his heart. And he decides to take some really valuable silverware from the monastery and tries to run away with it. And as he's running away, he gets caught. And the authorities, ready to lock Valjean back up, return to the priest and ask the priest, and tell the priest that Valjean stole from them. And probably the most powerful scene in the movie to me is when the priest looks at Valjean, sees the silverware stolen, and says, "No, I gave that to him. And he forgot to bring this stuff as well." And he responds to Valjean's betrayal by giving him more. He looks at this man who's broken, who is in need of grace, who's undeserving of any gifts, and he responds to his sin, to his mistake, by giving him abundantly, by giving him more things than he had ever asked for. And what I love is how in that moment when Valjean receives grace, his entire life changes. For the rest of the movie, Valjean is no longer a thief. He's somebody who goes and loves others. He becomes a wealthy businessman whose job is to give money to the poor, whose passion is for the widow and the orphan. He returns the grace that he was given. And it's this really beautiful picture about how when we turn the other cheek, it is a powerful statement of God's love. It is a transformative thing. I don't think we can encounter grace face first and not be changed by it. And so when the world does hate us and we respond well, when we respond in love, it transforms lives. What a powerful picture of the gospel. If when people mistreat us, hate us, when people curse us, we respond by blessing, praying for them, and giving to them more than they deserve. What an amazing picture of what Jesus has done. And what a powerful evidence it is for our belief in the gospel when we respond that way. And Les Mis to me is this really prominent, potent example I can think of in media. I wish I had more examples from my life, but unfortunately, I don't. But Jesus continues. He says, if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. And if you lend to those from whom you expect repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners, expecting to be repaid in full. But love your enemies. Do good to them and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, because He is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. When it boils down to it, if we're Christians, if we're followers of Jesus, if we're God's children, I think Luke's calling us to act like it. Why do we give to those who won't give us anything back? Why do we sacrifice for others, expecting nothing in return? Because that's what God does to the ungrateful and the wicked. We're not just called to be merciful, we're called to be merciful just as our Father is merciful. It's about painting a picture of what God looks like to the world. It's about being Christ's ambassadors. That's why we love our enemies. See, we are to live different than the world. Like I've said before, none of this stuff makes sense. I'm not going to sit around and try to rationalize loving your enemies. I don't think I can do that. I can't give you logical reasons why it's a good idea to give money to people when you don't think they're going to pay you back. I can't sit around and give you a reason why I think it's a good idea to love those who hate you. I can't sit around and try to give you any reason why it's a good idea to bless those who curse you. I don't think it makes sense from the world, but we're not operating from the world's perspective. And I think the picture of what Christ's sacrifice is means so much more because it's different from the world, because it doesn't make sense. Because there is no other reason I'd be living this way. I'd be trying to live for Jesus and loving my enemies if it wasn't for Christ's sacrifice. There is no other reason I can think of as to why I would be willing to give not only my coat, but my shirt also, why I'd be willing to turn the other cheek, except for the fact that I think that the Jesus who calls me to is God. What a powerful picture of the gospel. I also think when it boils down to it, a lot of it stems from the reality that we've been loved as well. Romans 5:6-8 says, you see, at just the right time, When you were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. Very rarely will anyone die for a righteous person, though for a good person someone might possibly dare to die, but God demonstrates his own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That needs to shape our reality. I don't think that we can encounter Christ's love for us. I don't think that we can really see his grace and not respond by trying to do the same. Sometimes it's hard to love our enemies because they've made mistakes. It's hard to love our enemies because they're sinners, because the things that they do offend us or hurt us or go against our beliefs. But it's a lot easier to love them when we remember that we were loved when we weren't deserving. When we remember that Christ died for the ungodly, us, when we didn't deserve it. That while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. He doesn't die for perfect people. Thank goodness. He dies for us in our sin, in our brokenness, in our shame. Christ dies for us. And so our response should be to go and do the same. To go and do the same. When I see somebody online who disagrees with me, maybe about a really important political opinion or about an important way of reading scripture, do I respond to somebody that's only saved because of God's grace? Do I respond as Jesus does to my sin by being willing to give everything and to sacrifice for me? When somebody's being mean to me at school or there's a kid I just really don't like, do I respond to somebody that is only powerful under the grace of Christ? Do I respond to somebody only saved because of God's unconditional love? Or do I respond to somebody who thinks that they earned their way on their own? When I go to a sports game, and the rival sports team is from a school that's just my rival, and I want nothing more than to just pound them to a pulp on the field, do I respond as Christ does to my sin? Do I respond as Christ does to me being his enemy, with unconditional self-sacrificial love? There's a really cool quote from my favorite book of all time called The Brothers Karamazov, which says, when we're looking at the sins of man, we have to find a way to engage with it. And we can either choose to do it with force or with humble love. And Dostoevsky calls us to always choose humble love. Because that's what Christ does. Because humble love transforms. Humble love changes lives, changes hearts, changes eternal destinations. And so when somebody is your enemy, as you go throughout your week, some of you might be in quarantine for a while. I know I am. I want you to be thinking about that. When you encounter your enemies, are you responding as Jesus does? Because the way Jesus responds changes lives, changes hearts, changes destinies. And I think when we represent that, when we carry on that self-sacrificial love, when we go through life humbly loving each other, we present his message in a powerful way and spread his mission on this world. So, with that being said, I got some shepherding questions for you guys. First, who are your enemies? Who are they? I mentioned some examples, maybe people who are in a different political opinion than you, I think is a big one right now in the world. Maybe it's people from another sports team. Maybe it's people who are, in a different grade than you. I know sometimes it's like grade rivalries. Who are your enemies? Second question is, how often do you pray for your enemies? Do you spend time praying for the people that you just don't like for whatever reason? Another question is, who is persecuting you? Scripture says elsewhere, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. And how can you pray for those who are persecuting you? Again, maybe it's somebody that you just really disagree with. Maybe it's somebody who you just don't see eye to eye with. Who's making your life hard, and how can you pray for them? And finally, what does radical love look like in your life? Are there opportunities you have to love people radically like Jesus does? Because the way that Jesus responds to his enemies isn't to try to win. He doesn't respond to his enemies by trying to prove them wrong or to bring them down. Jesus' response to his enemies is to sacrifice himself on the cross for our sins. And I don't think we're all called to do that. But for your life, in your context, what does radical love look like? How can you live that out? After we know how, it's just a matter of doing it. So thank you all so much for listening. We're going to move into our Zoom community groups. I'm going to put in the chat. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Whoop. Let me stop the screen share here. Oh yeah, there we go. Sweet. So we're going to go talk in the Zoom chats a little bit about what it means to love people radically. I'm going to have some breakout rooms set up once we are there. Yeah, I'm going to put the link in the chat so we can use it there. I know before we used to have a link in the description and link in the chat, but sometimes the link in the description wouldn't work. So we're just going to do the chat. If you guys can see that, I put it from the Damascus Student Ministries page. Yeah, you guys should be able to see that. You're welcome, guys. Wow, lots of thank yous. I appreciate it. Sweet. Zach, I love the question mark. You did a really great job. What? The question mark's kind of funny there. Yeah, so you can copy and paste that. I think if you're on mobile, you can just click it. I'm going to open it up. Yeah, thank you all for coming. We're going to do those questions in our shepherding groups. I'll try to make some breakout rooms as well, so we can split up into our normal groups. And then if you have time, we can come together and play a couple games. I did re-get Jackbox Party games because I didn't have it on this computer and figured it would be a worthwhile investment, both for ministry and I like Jackbox Party games. So for my life, it's good too. Awesome. So I'm going to go open up the Zoom call. Some of you might already be waiting there, but I will see you there. Ending the live stream now. So I will see you all in Zoom. Again, the link is in the chat. Take care, everybody. Have a great day, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in Zoom. Bye.